Sometimes fortune flips a coin and you win on both sides, though at the time you can't always tell which is which. Episode 16, and it's goodbye to Chile for now, as I head to the remote border crossing at Paso Roballo before crossing back into Argentina for a ride across the vast and windy expanse of southern Patagonia to the grey and windswept town of Rio Gallegos. A gloomy morning greets me in Cochrane as I set off for my first border crossing in a while. Initially it's a short backtrack, then a turn off through the Parque Nacional Patagonia. It will also be my last taste of the Carretera Austral, and like most goodbyes, a little bittersweet. But while the Austral may be over, the gravel certainly isn't. It's around 63 k's to the Chilean border post, then another 90 or so on the other side. At least the scenery should be keen to make up for it. The route snakes its way through the wide Chacabuco Valley, carved through the mountains by a river of the same name. And despite having just left the main road, the landscape has changed yet again. Patagonia, it seems, has more personalities than a Shakespearean troupe. Now the eagle-eyed amongst you may have spotted that I've turned around. I wasn't filming at the time, but a chance encounter with some friendly carabineros, Chilean coppers, brought a key fact to my attention. Paso Roballo is a little too off-grid for casual drop-ins. You need something called a salvoconducto, a police check done online a full day in advance, with QR code to prove it. Without it, you're not crossing. That pretty much scotches any chance of me crossing this border today, so resigned to the long way round, I decide to aim for the larger border at Chile Chico, a 400k detour and several hours of my life I'll never see again. It's going to be a long day. At the crest of a hill, another surprise, unfilmed of course. There's Camille, my French friend from the Chiloé ferry, in full roadside wrestling match with a punctured rear tyre. He looks like he's winning, but I stop anyway, to offer moral support and an extra pair of hands if they're needed.
Oh, Jesus.
A little bit on my tire.
Yeah, I just got turned around at the border because you have to do an international police check online if you go to the small border.
Yeah, salvoconductor.
Yeah,
Someone just told me.
Yeah.
If you stop at the park entrance, there was a little cafeteria.
Yeah.
You have to buy like something to drink, like €2.
Yeah.
And then they have like 200 megabytes of Wi-Fi by satellite, and they have paper with QR code on all the instruction to do it online.
Okay.
And then I did it yesterday, and I wait maybe half an hour for the mail with the paper coming on my mailbox.
Okay.
Try not to use all your 200 megabytes before you receive the new email.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like 1 kilometer away, and you can do it.
So it turns out the encounter has been more helpful than expected, at least for me. I leave Camille patching rubber and head to the National Park Visitors Centre to test my luck against their Wi-Fi, almighty 200 megabytes worth. Camille's also heading the same way, so we agree to try and meet up later, if fate, Wi-Fi and of course tyre pressure allow.
In my weakness you are strong.
The visitor centre is only a couple of k's down the road, and an hour later, salvo conducto is achieved. Their laminated English instructions suggest I'm not the first idiot to stumble into this bureaucratic bear trap. By the time the all-important email lands, I'm clinging to Wi-Fi scraps, kept alive only by pity from the cafe staff.
You are the light in darkest night, a star that shines in deep blue skies.
Back up the hill, no sign of Camille, which probably means he's rolling again. Good news for him, and less guilt for me. With my e-paperwork in hand, I make it past the point where I was turned back. This time, the road is mine.
In my struggle, you're my strength. Purpose when there's nothing left. Laughter when it's late at night. Whispers until the sunrise, the sunrise. You are the light in darkest night.
With the weather threatening to turn nice, I'd drop into the damp valley proper, and perhaps get a little overzealous with standing up for what's ultimately just a small puddle. Old habits.
At the first sight, the nicest thing about life is you're mine.
You are the light in darkest night.
The star that shines.
At the top of the next rise, I find Camille waiting, although for some reason my chin cam wasn't rolling at the time. It's then a quick connect for our helmet comms, and onward towards the Chilean border post through some epic landscape.
Is your mind.
I heard we're going nowhere. Reach out, I'm caught in the glare. Hold on to see tomorrow. This hurricane is far from over. Take what you want from me, give you everything that you'll ever need. Perfect harmony, get lost in love. I'll give my trust, you'll see. Beyond time and space, disassociate. You are everything, never ending scene. Get lost in love. I'll give.
The Chilean border outpost finally rolls into view, and it becomes clear why there may be a little internet light at this location.
Don't fade away. Stay in this place. I will remain. My hurricane won't fall to gray. Turning this flame on a fade.
A few moments later.
With salvo conducto in hand, the crossing is painless. 11 k's of windy limbo now stretch between us and the Argentinian side.
I feel like far from sober. Breathe in the hurricane. Your storm will take what you want from me. Give you everything that you'll ever need. Perfect harmony. Get lost in love. I'll
tailwind is a gift right up until the moment the road curves and it slaps you from the side. Ah, Patagonia, where even the breeze has mood swings. Cattle grate and a small sign mark entrance into Argentina's domain, and somehow the wind here is even stronger. Internet, it seems, is in scarce supply in these parts, but despite being technology challenged, the friendly officials had its rubber stamped and legal for Argentina in all of about 20 minutes, and entirely old school courtesy of a handwritten ledger. From here is 90 k's of wind and gravel before the reward, Route 40, sealed, black and blessedly smooth, a first for a while. Leaving the Andes behind, the landscape opens into Patagonia's endless flatness. A sign warns of gradients, which turns out to be a massive overpromise, but pokes my attention just enough to keep me from hitting one of the near invisible sand traps that dot this seemingly otherwise solid road. The scenery is stark, different from Chile's mountains, but no less magnetic. Patagonia has its own brand of beauty and doesn't care what you think. Our final stretch of gravel is served with a tailwind and the eerie silence it brings from riding without the feeling of resistance. After a week of bone-rattling gravel, the asphalt of Route 40 feels a bit like winning the lottery. 16 kilometres of it anyway, before Bajo, Caracoles, a hamlet with more importance than size. Here civilization amounts to a petrol pump and a tiny hotel. But after today's trials and tribulations, it feels like Las Vegas. And more so because if I'd gone via Chile Chico, I'd still be many hours away from food and beer. Day 80, and the morning sunshine greets us for the day's ride. In theory, it should be the first gravel-free day for some time, but this is Argentina, so you can never be truly sure. Camille and I are both heading south on Route 40, so it's another day of running together. A stretch of unfinished roadwork delivers some brief gravel nostalgia before the scenery shifts. Suddenly I'm reminded of the Atacama, wide, bare and hypnotic.
We both watched the great parade as you grew up and learned the tune of the marching band. You fell in line.
next gravel section starts to give me an inkling of why this road is a pothole obstacle course, and tyre track slalom across the surface like a skier in trouble.
What you do, and it's the strangest thing. If you the small, the judge and jury, the richest men carry the country straight to its grave. Now we've been wrong and we've been had. Another day here in the promised land. We've been wrong and we've been had. Another day here in the promised land. It does not.
Just as I get into the rhythm, it's all over. Patagonia can't quite compete with Bolivia or northern Chile when it comes to craters, and frankly, I'm not complaining. It's not so long ago that this whole road was gravel.
This ain't no good love and I will take anything that the morning brings. I'll take anything that the morning brings.
The horizon stretches on forever, and I slip back into that Patagonia Zen, a kind of meditation achieved only through monotony and motorbikes. But before long, the outpost of Gobernador Gregores rises from the plains. For me, it's the day's finish line. For Camille, the adventure continues. Another 70 kilometres of gravel before he can hang up the helmet for the day. So sadly, our shared ride ends here, as all good double acts must. Next morning, the sun's still out, but the wind is hinting that it might have plans. At around 420 k's, today will be my longest ride for a while, leapfrogging me south to Rio Gallegos and setting me up for the next stage into Tierra del Fuego. Back on the plains, the landscape suddenly throws up its best Monument Valley impersonation. I'm instantly back in one of my favourite motorcycling memories. Patagonia, always the show-off it seems. Interrupted again, this time by a random cluster of trees, an oasis in a desert of nothing. Then as quickly as they appeared, gone. The emptiness resumes. Patagonia does not apologise for being Patagonia. straight roads and virtually no gravel hide one additional challenge: the wind. Invisible on camera, relentless in reality. In Patagonia, they say motorcyclists sometimes get stranded for days. Having fought this headwind so far, I believe every word. And my KTM agrees. The mileage I once eked out in the Chilean deserts evaporates as the bike gulps fuel like a hungover teenager. On normal mileage, I would be able to reach Rio Gallegos on a single tank, but courtesy of this headwind, a little roadside refueling stop is now required. Stretch brings gloom and fatigue, but finally a freeway, the first since Puerto Monat, and I can almost hear the bike sigh with relief. Rio Gallegos greets me with the enthusiasm of a grey sock. Functional, not beautiful, but it's the biggest town around, and after today's ride, I'll take it. Tomorrow, Tierra del Fuego, 2 border crossings, and then the road to Ushuaia, and the end of the world. Views. Border crossings. More border crossings. Ferries. Big sky. Bridges. Mountains. And the end of the road.